get to the point. The most important thing is being clear, concise, and succinct, and making sure what you're speaking about is relevant to your audience. But if you had to sum it all up, what is most important, and what I look for when I'm trying to hire people, is the ability to think critically. Because that really is what we do. At the end of the day, that's what you're doing. The analytical side, underwriting, trying to decide whether or not a loan is a good idea or not. And there's no clear-cut if there's a clear-cut answer, great. You look at it and you say, well, no. But beyond that, you have to really think about it and think about what are the real issues, what are the real risks, not just what you see on paper, but to think about things. So, for example, if you look at a business and year after year it's had very consistent cash flow, making lots of money, you're thinking, wow, that's great. This looks like a really stable business. We should make them a loan. If it turns out that business is a enclosed shopping center with what you're seeing today in the market for online versus brick and mortar retail, well, maybe you should stop and think, well, is this business likely to continue in the future? Just because they did really well in the past doesn't mean they're going to keep doing well in the future. And it's amazing how many people wouldn't go there. They'd just say, well, look at the numbers. It's been great for 25 years. Okay, well, is it going to be good for the next 5? Because that's when we're going to get our loan repaid. So thinking about things holistically and really trying to think about what is the objective of whatever it is I'm doing, and are the assumptions that I've made reasonable? Are the assumptions that other people have made reasonable? You need to take a step back and think, why am I being asked to do this? What is the purpose of this? What are we trying to get at? Understand the context. That's the real key, and that seems to be the thing that is very often missing, as I look to hire new people.
In speaking, I very much live by the notion of spend 90% of your time listening and 10% talking. I think the more time you spend talking, the less time you're spending gathering information about the reality of the situation. But in writing, I think the most important thing is voice, is adapting your voice to who you're speaking to. I think the different roles that are played in a software development company, any company really, vary pretty wildly, and the way you need to write to them varies wildly as well. I'm going to write differently to a developer than the way that I write to somebody on the sales team, than the way that I'll write to a client. There's different levels of information you want to provide, but additionally just a different tone of voice you want to speak in. Additionally, I'm writing text that's going to go into our software as actual messaging there, and that's a very different voice than you might write to indirect email correspondence as well.
Clarity, mutual trust. Understanding your audience probably. It's not about you. It's about being understood and about reaching out, and so making people feel comfortable. But understanding, seeing it from the perspective of your listener and kind of catering to that.
I think for me, it's understanding, and I talked a little bit about this earlier, understanding where the person's coming from. So again, understanding what role or level they are, understanding what's important to them, what's a priority, how they like to receive their information, understanding what motivates and drives them. If I know those things, my communication is going to be a lot easier. Whether if it's an email and I know I need to put action now or action needed, or if I'm telling them bad news, that I can know a little bit about how to communicate it or share it with them. It's just as simple of knowing if my client likes an email or a meeting, because everybody's different. Some people are like, don't send me any emails. Hold all your emails all week, set up 15 minutes with me, and let's go through it then. And that's a very individual preference. And so I need to know that versus my other clients who never have time for meetings and are going to read everything at the end of the day and rather me put it by subject for them or put it all in one email. I think it's different for everybody. So understanding where they're coming from is huge.
Well, first of all, the technology has to work. When something goes wrong and Bloomberg goes down, right, that's why all of the financial markets will shut down. It just shuts down because you have to be able, we are so dependent on being able to communicate through the software that we're using. So the technology is the first thing, right? After that, I think to being respectful and clear, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the most important thing is just being clear and concise and within reason original. Like sort of my day job or the bulk of what I'm doing, it's all about ultimately getting materials that our company can use to advertise with from a disparate, pool of advertisers and people, and their backgrounds are all over the place. So being in clear and concise and original is important so that I can as quickly and easily and successfully get everything that I need from them. On the other end of the spectrum, as a freelance designer, you got to do the same thing because you're essentially a salesperson at that point. And how do you present yourself to these clients that either you have and you're working with and you want them to be happy, that you don't have and you want and you want them to be happy? And I think in both cases, it's as simple as being clear, concise, and original.